Hi, this is Universal Vibes 1133. So I'm going to go ahead and share a dream message for the collective 144 that I had last night. The period of time that I saw this was going to come into manifestation is Mercury Retrograde, and I'm pretty sure that starts on the 7th of July. You guys can look it up. Where I'm at, I don't get very good reception, so my dream, I was in this gorgeous house, and there was family there, there was friends there, there was people there, there was healers there, there was people who were shamans that were there, just all kinds of, it was filled, like almost like a come together in the astro. I was asked how I was, and I spoke to a few teachers, which were just master guides, and they gave me insight on where I was. And this message is not specific to me. This has to do with the collective 144. And I was told to relay everything in my dream state to everyone who watches this, who's guided to watch it, because it'll have a specific meaning for each and every one of you and on a different level. This can be metaphoric. Usually dreams are very metaphoric. And if you ask your own individual guides what this means for you, you will be shown during your dream state or during meditation. So when I was in this house, I had a phone call, and it was on a device that I owned a long time ago. It's an old cell phone that I used to own. And it wasn't when I was going through gang stalking and all that. It was way before that. And it was a phone that I didn't want to even own. I told my parents, no, I don't want a cell phone, because it was pretty much the way I thought of it when I was a teen was it was a human tracking device, and so I didn't want one. So if I was going fishing with a girlfriend, or if I was out at a bonfire, I didn't want my parents being able to get a hold of me, because I didn't want to lie to them on when I'd be back or whatever. So he was on that certain phone. It was a silver phone, by the way, that they made me carry. And so I got this phone call on that phone in this dream, and who was calling me was an ex of mine when I was in my early 20s. And me and this ex never really had any issues at all. The only issue was that I worked a little bit too much, and I was always doing overtime, and so therefore I didn't have time for him. And so he found somebody that did have time. So, and I always got along with this person. There was no arguments we've ever had. And I really liked him a lot. I just didn't have time for him. And the number that popped up when I looked at my cell phone had a bunch of 9s in it. And I can't remember how many 9s because I didn't write my dream down exactly when I woke up. But I'm pretty sure there was at least 3 9s in there. There could have been 4 9s in the phone number that called me. So when I answered in this house, which was on a shoreline, it was kind of like a, you know when you go fishing and there's a bunch of rocks, like they make this little fishing pool for people, and it's right off the ocean? Well, my house that I had owned and that everybody was in, it was on that. So I don't know what you call that, but I fished off one before, and up here you're not allowed to build houses on them, but in my dream I had a house off this. And so I answered, and when I answered, he was asking me how I was and how I'd been, and I said, I'm doing great, how are you? It was small talk, and he goes, I've been looking for you and how to contact you for over almost a year now. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you got rid of all your social media. he goes, I couldn't find you anywhere. He goes, I don't know if you blocked me. And I was just listening. And he asked me where I was. And I told him, because something paused me from telling him where I was. And I told him, I said, well, I don't really want to give that information out because of what occurred in my life. And he goes, well, are you ever going to come back? Are you ever going to move back here? And I told him no. And he said that he was in love with me and this and that, and that he realized that he made a huge mistake back in the day. It was just a really awkward conversation for me because I hardly ever think about this person. And funny thing was, there was like a three-way call type thing going on where there was some other party that like forgot to mute themselves. And I know three-way calls probably don't work like that. I don't know what it was, like if somebody was next to him and he forgot to hit mute when the female was asking him a question about me. But the other person that was asking these questions through him, right, was a very negative person in my life, and I recognized their voice. So they were basically coaching this ex of mine to ask me where I was, what kind of vehicle I drove, where I lived, what kind of job I had now. And it was so funny because I was listening to this other person asking him to ask me all these things. So there was this feeling of, why do you want to know? And so that's what came out of my mouth. Like, why do you want to know? Like, what does it matter what car I drive? I have a vehicle. And what does it matter where I live? I have a house. And it just got really weird. And at one point, I heard this recording of my own voice from a past dispute that I had with this third party on the line. That was a legal dispute. And it was a recording of my voice. And it was playing. And it wasn't playing on the phone, it was playing in my mind. And as soon as I asked, as soon as it was playing in my mind, they had asked about a statement that I had made in private years ago that they wouldn't even know of, the ex, And what I said then was, they asked me, because I asked them, why are you asking me about that? And they said, because what you said then is occurring now in my life. And I don't know if it was a conversation that I had with two other people at the same time about something happening or occurring. I don't know. But it was a recording of me and something I said in private to somebody else. It should not have been recorded. And it was about spiritual stuff that was going to occur. So I got this bad feeling, and I refused to be baited into explaining anything because I saw and I just felt the call was not in my highest good to continue. So I hung up. So those of you who might have exes coming back or having a friendship come back during this Mercury Retrograde, be cautious of what you say over the phone because it was very metaphoric for what the 144 Collective was going to go through. And it was just a way to get you off track to make you look foolish. Because I knew if I would have spoke about that recording that was playing over in my head over the phone when I heard some other third party coaching them to ask me more and more and get my location, there was this very dark energy. And it was like cloud. It was like a swirling cloud. And whenever I see that swirling cloud of smoke, I know that it's something that's trying to come into my personal sacred space and get me off my path. So those of you who have exes coming back, or even just ex-friends coming back that you never had any issue with, everything ended cordial, Be discerning with every phone conversation you have. And this is not to scare anybody. And I know it's not going to happen to me because nobody knows my number. Nobody. Besides my father. So, after this occurred and I hung up on the phone call, I was in this huge bathroom of this waterfront house. And I looked out my window, and the water within this area was a beautiful pink form, and it had energy attached to it, like waves within the water. It was all pink, like bright pink, which is a form of protection and healing in the astro. And this was a dream I had. And then I looked up to the sky, and the sky was so bright with orbs, like white orbs, and a bunch of pink that was reflecting on this water. And I saw these boulders along the bay, and they weren't normal rocks. They lit up this like pinkish white, and they were glowing. And I saw out my window 2 elderly women sitting on top of these rocks in both directions, making the sign of the divine feminine. So they were both sitting horizontal from each other in this bay area. And it's almost like they were meditating and calling out to each other, and then I saw this beautiful circle around them, making the divine feminine sign. And this is what we are coming into right now. So that is whoever is dealing with letting go of things. If you want to write something down on a piece of paper, after you write it, to release it and throw it away or burn it or whatever, you can put the divine feminine sign over it, and you can release it, because that's the energy we're coming into with this 13 moon calendar. Also, I would meditate to that sign. Also, I'm seeing somebody put the sign underneath their pillow or inside their pillowcase when they're sleeping at night to get more answers from the divine feminine, which is Mother Earth and that aspect that we all have within us. Anyway, I drew my curtains after I saw this, and I filled up the bathtub in this bathroom where I could see this going on after I drew the curtains in. I just immersed myself in water and I took a spiritual bath. So that might be significant for some of you as well. Alright, I don't want to get too long of a video. I was just letting you guys know about this. And I hope this helps you guys and the 144 Collective and all those who are ascending to this point. This is not something to scare you. It's just something to let you know that you're on the right path. And if these things come up during Mercury Retrograde, be free of it, be kind, be nice, but don't interact with anything that's going to put you in a state of a low vibrational field or a state of confusion, because that's what they want. They want you confused.